And the question a lot of people ask is, are plant-based diets safe for infants and children? And parents wonder, will my children's growth and development be adversely affected? Will my family meet their nutritional requirements if we're eating plant-based? And the answer is that we have many studies done over many decades to show that plant-based diets are safe for children. I recall some of the big classic studies that came out in the late 80s, the British Vegan Children Study, that found that children reared to be vegan can grow up to be normal children. And this at the time was a bit of a revelation. The Farm Study from 1989 with over 400 children, the Seventh-day Adventist Children's Study from 1990. And then we have a systematic review of vegetarian diets in 2017, and the Vici study from Germany in 2019. And the findings were really, can really be summarized as this. Lacto-ovo-vegetarian children grow at least as well as omnivorous children. Vegan children also grow normally, although their growth may be a little slower during the toddler years. And some people ask about the negative findings. And in fact, there were some negative findings in the 70s and 80s that were reports from the reporting adverse effects of plant-based diets from communities that used extremely highly restrictive diets and homemade milks that were grossly inadequate. But since then, we have a very different food world, and nutritious and fortified and wonderful plant foods are very widely available. And we don't see these kinds of adverse outcomes very often anymore when people are including balanced diets. And I think one of the most useful, comprehensive report that we have that we can share with physicians, that we can share with our healthcare providers, is the position of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics on vegetarian diets from 2016. And they state that it is the position of the American Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics that appropriately planned vegetarian diets, including vegetarian or total, including total vegetarian or vegan diets, are healthful, nutritionally adequate, and may provide health benefits in the prevention and treatment of certain diseases. Well-planned vegetarian diets are appropriate for individuals during all stages of the life cycle, including pregnancy, lactation, infancy, childhood, adolescence, and for athletes. And of course, people sometimes get concerned about these words, appropriately planned and well-planned, and wonder if they have to have a calculator in hand and get quite nervous about that. But the reality is all diets for children, regardless of dietary pattern, need to be appropriately planned. And it's not rocket science. It's actually fairly simple. You know, I always find it funny that in our society, we consider a school lunch like this to be well planned and quite appropriate, but we raise our eyebrows when we see a lunch that looks like this, that's completely plant-based. I think maybe we need to examine our definitions of well planned. There are many advantages associated with plant-based diets for children. And these advantages were outlined in the position statement from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. These diets, plant-based diets, are generally higher in quality, which means there are more fruits and vegetables. There are more, there's more fiber, there's less fat, and so on. So they are associated with higher intakes of fruits and vegetables and associated nutrients, with lower intakes of sweets and salty snacks, with lower intakes of total unsaturated fat. And all those are very good things. And of course, lower risk of obesity as well. So to summarize, in terms of adequacy, to ensure adequate plant-based diets, we want to choose quality foods. We want to ensure sufficient quantity, enough calories for children. And we want to include plenty of variety within the mix. There are really 4 core concepts of feeding children. The first is that we need to promote optimal growth, development, and well-being. And a variety of dietary patterns, including well-planned plant-based diets, can adequately support the growth and development of children. All diets for children must provide adequate calories and nutrients. Number 2 is to prevent immediate childhood health concerns. The diet needs to prevent conditions of poor nutrition like iron deficiency anemia, dental caries, over or undernutrition. This means providing a variety of nutrient-dense foods, fortified foods, and supplements when they're indicated. Number 3 is we need to establish eating habits that support health throughout life and minimize the risk of chronic diseases. So eating patterns established in childhood profoundly impact food choices in adulthood. Plant-based diets tend to have higher diet quality scores, and plant-based children have healthier body weights. They eat more fruits and veggies, they eat more fibers, fewer snacks, all of those things we just mentioned. And number 4, this is a really important one. Nurture children's natural ability to eat intuitively and with joy, or to listen to their body's hunger cues and to eat with joy. As parents, we can encourage, listening to our bodies and having a lifelong relationship with food by honoring our child's appetite. And we'll talk about the division of responsibility for feeding, keeping experiences around food positive and pleasant, exploring food together, avoiding food rewards and punishments. And Ellen Sater is one of the leading experts on child feeding. And she says the secret of feeding a healthy family is to love good food, trust yourself, and share that love and trust with your child. When the joy goes out of eating, nutrition suffers. And the division of responsibility is this. There is leadership for parents and autonomy for children. And leadership means that as parents, we are responsible for the what, the when, and the where of feeding. Our children are responsible for how much they eat and even whether they eat at all. And in terms of leadership, that means that we might say, well, we're having pasta, broccoli, beans, and fruit at 6 o'clock at the kitchen table. And our children then determine how much of that they will eat. The do's of feeding children are have family meals. They are vitally important. Be a positive role model, offer healthy choices, encourage physical activity. Don't encourage dieting. Don't do the sort of negative weight talk or teasing, and avoid excessive screen time. The guiding principles are patience, adventure and curiosity, and fun.